Truck Talk Media.
C10 Talk, episode 200.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Robbie Purser, United by Trucks, YouTube star, the sensation, the crew, everything about these guys is awesome. What they do for the community, episode 200 coming at you. UBT.
We're all in this same community together, which we are. You know, we're just all spread across the country. But if we can shine a spotlight on folks everywhere across the country who are putting on these shows, who are building these trucks, or who may not even have a truck, but is supporting their best friend who does and helping him in his garage and drinking a six-pack every night with him while he's, doing a suspension or something. Those are the kinds of people that need to be celebrated. Those are the kinds of people that need to be lifted up in our community. And I'm happy to be a small part of helping do that. And I do take pride in being able to hopefully shine a little bit more of a spotlight on those folks, those shows, those trucks over here on the eastern side of the country.
Damn, son.
Let me tell you what Melbourne Coast is packing right here. All right, we got 411 posi track out back, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intakes, scored over 30, 11-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some bucking muscle.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 truck podcast.
And now I have a chance to be the best, maybe the best in the world.
My old man is a television repairman. Got the ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
I said I got 50 cents in that jukebox, and all I can hear is your mouth clapping. You hear that?
Here's your host, Ronnie Welch.
What's up? What's up? Get Down week. Get Down vibe is in the air, and we're getting ready to mask up to get down. All right? You guys are ready? I'm getting ready. Feeling good. Feeling frisky. Got to do some work on Orange Slice to get it. Always behind. Always behind. I'm consistently behind. But I'm bringing you pod because I like bringing people pod. I love bringing you pod, and I'm bringing you Robbie Purser, UBT, United by Trucks, the YouTube star himself. And we talk about Robbie. We talk about his crew, the inner posse, his entourage of people, and everything that he does and they do out there in Georgia and in the South to bring us all killer content on the United by Trucks channel. So Robbie's definitely been on my list for a while. Just didn't know really when to bring him in. And I thought, man, 200 is a perfect time. And it's a perfect time because there's going to be a lot of traveling, getting ready for the get down. So I want to make sure that you guys all, get to check out episode 200. Hopefully you're getting caught up on these travels. Episode right before 200 is a bonus episode that I did. And we just kind of talk about some of the, sideshows that are going to happen throughout the get down. Thursday is going to be the open house up at Tray 5. And then at 1 o'clock, Provost Motorsports, Dropped Lowered, Metalox, they're going to unveil John Orrell's Prom Queen 3.0 shit. So that's at 1 o'clock in the Provost Motorsports, Metalox, Dropped Lowered area. I think it's really the Provost Motorsports booth. But John Orrell, they redid 3.0 because Prom Queen was going to be at SEMA. SEMA didn't happen, and they're working on getting that down here and doing a little unveiling. 2 o'clock, TCI, total costs involved. They're going to do a new C10 chassis reveal at 2 o'clock in the total cost involved booth. And then 3 o'clock, Sam Castronova is going to bring us the King of Beats, the Beat Off. And I think he said he's got about 6 to 8 people lined up for an old school 80s style stereo competition. So if you think you got what it takes, get your butt over to Sam, DM Sam Castronova. So if you think you got what it takes, reach out to Sammy and let him know. If he's not full, maybe he puts you on a standby. But if you got big beats, you want to be the king of beats, then let Sam know, and they're going to line up 6 to 8 of them, do a little contest, which really should be a lot of fun. You can get all the details on social media, and you can listen to the bonus episode to check it out. All things Get Down this week. I don't have a lot of stuff on Saturday yet. Second day of the show. I think it's probably going to be a chill day. You're all back out there. Just realize masking up. Bring your, warm clothes for Arizona. It was like 98 like 4 days ago, and it's going to be in the 60s for the Get Down. So bring some warm clothes. I guess warm for Arizona. Some pants, maybe a long sleeve shirt. You might want a sweatshirt at night. I doubt it, but it doesn't change a lot. So that's one thing about the temperature in Phoenix. Kind of stays the same. So if it's 68, it might be 64 at night. But I'd throw some warm clothes in there just in case. But all things are full steam ahead. The Get Down. We don't have any election stuff to deal with. That's behind us. No commercials to listen to. Here in Arizona, we're a battleground state. So that's all that we've been hearing for 2 to 3 months is everything about politics. Let's take a big breath. Let's all come together and have a great time at the Get Down, the 10th annual 2020. There was times where we didn't even know if this was going to happen. Crazy to think that. And just the way the world is right now, it's a go. Everybody, we hope you drive, you travel safe, and you have a safe trip. We hope your trucks run great and there's no major breakdowns. And we're thinking of you. We're also thinking about our veterans. Wednesday is Veterans Day. This is going to drop on Tuesday. I hope. You guys know I'm also behind a lot on that, but hopefully we get this out on Tuesday like we want. And Wednesday is Veterans Day. So happy Veterans Day to everybody out there. If you are a veteran, thank you for your service, because that's why this country is so great. Guys and gals like you guys out there who are veterans who served and served us well. So thank you for that. If you know a veteran, let them know, hey, happy Veterans Day Wednesday. All right. Let's get to some reviews real quick and then get you over to Robbie so you guys can enjoy that pod. If you have the chance, please go ahead and leave us a review. We do appreciate it. I think we're close to 600. That's what I was trying to get to. I'd like to get to 600 at least by the end of the year, maybe a little bit more. I think we're at like 593. So thank you for doing that. Let's go here. Where was I? Okay, so awesome. It's better than the Skittles Rainbow. I like the Skittles Rainbow. I'm a Reese's peanut butter guy myself, but I'll take a Skittles every now and then. This is by CNN, is fake news. So back to the politics of things. 5 stars. So awesome. It's literally rainbows and unicorns for the C10 crowd. Maybe he doesn't really like it. He's just having fun, but we got a review out of it. He did give us 5 stars. So awesome. It's literally rainbows and unicorns for the C10 crowd. That's you guys. That's me. That's everybody. Thank you. CNN is fake news. 5 stars. How about one from Lolo, our homie out in Texas, Cali to Texas, been on both C10 Talk and OBS Talk. Lolo Metalsmith, thank you for taking the time to leave a review. Top-notch automotive podcast, 5 stars. Thanks, Ronnie, for keeping me informed and entertained during the crazy times. Keep up the great work. P.S. Love the Builder series, Lolo Metalsmith. I'd love to bring that back. Let's see what happens here at the end of the year. I'll bring the Builder series back. I want to. That's my goal. Thank you, Lolo. Quiet to Riot Customs. 5 stars, 3 thumbs up. That's 66 C10 Crew Cab. Quiet to Riot Customs. 5 stars, 3 thumbs up. So, yes, thank you for doing that. Still a review. I'll take it. We appreciate it. All right, come by the booth when you come to the Get Down if you can. We've got the C10 Nation stickers where you write your little Instagram, social media on there. So when you're walking around, people know who you are. Because a lot of times we kind of refer to people, or our baseline references off of your truck. So if you're not by your truck, then we want to see who you are. So we can even put it on the mask if you want. You can put your little sticker on the mask. C10 Nation stickers free at the C10 Talk C10 Nation booth. And hello, I'm at C10 Talk. Write it with the marker. The trucks are cool, but the people are cooler. C10 Nation stickers free at the booth. Come by. And we've got a ton of new gear. We've got long sleeves. We've got sweatshirts. We've got so many new hats. And we have a few really cool new designs. My favorite right now is the C10 Talk that looks like MTV. Easily. Already got it on. Wore it. Love it. It's probably going to be my new favorite shirt. My old favorite shirt is the tape deck, the cassette one, Damn Songs. Still my favorite. Yep, still my favorite. But the MTV one is right there now. So I dig that one. We do have the OBS Talk radio shirt because we did the other C10. So that one's new. My wife did one for the girls, the ladies. That's really cool. I think the guys are going to dig it. It says, it's really just basic. And it says, I know what you're thinking, but he has a really cool truck. So that might be something you want to get for your wife. You come out, maybe she's with you, maybe she's not. Maybe you get it for your wife, maybe you get it for your girlfriend, maybe you get it for both. But the bottom line is it's a super cool shirt, real generic, but it says on there, I know what you're thinking, but he has a really cool truck. So maybe you got a cool truck. I'm just saying. All right. So something for the ladies, hats, beanies, stickers. We got tons of stuff. Come by the booth. We're going to shut down the website. So when you hear this on Tuesday, if you're not coming to the Get Down, boom, everything's shut down on the website because it's just too much to get back. And, my wife wants to get everything kind of inventoried before we release the hounds again. So let's see what we get and what we have coming back from the Get Down 2020 coming at you. All right, guys, drive safe if you're coming out. Fly safe, travel safe. Bring a couple masks. Obviously, the big cat, we're really focusing on that. Get Down 2020 is right around the corner. Check out the last few pods. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you tuning in. And I hope you enjoy UBT episode 200. If you don't already, get on YouTube. Subscribe to their channel. Follow them on social media. You'll get to know all the other characters as well. Give them a follow. Check them out. Come by the booth. Say hi. Grab a sticker. Thanks, guys. Have a great week. Travel safe. See you on Friday. See you on Saturday. Boom. Late.
All right. C10 Nation, episode 200. Robbie Purser, UBT, United by Trucks, Mr. YouTube himself coming at you. Stoked about this one. Good times ahead. Getting to know Robbie. Robbie, welcome to C10 Talk. Welcome to the C10 Nation extravaganza here. I can't wait to get to know you a little bit better. Thanks for taking your time out of what I know is a busy schedule. And let's get to it.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this, so I'm really excited to chat it up today, man.
Well, I know you guys are getting ready. You and the boys, you and the UBT crew, you're gonna make the trek out. Let's dive in a little bit. Who is Robbie?
So yeah, you're right. We are getting ready to head your way for Dino. So super excited about that. But Robbie, I'm just a guy who loves trucks and loves hanging out with my friends. And just so happens I like to video that too. I actually didn't realize I liked that as much until a couple of years ago when we started the channel, almost 2 years ago now. But yeah, man, I'm just a normal dude. I work a day job. I've got a wife and kids, and so do all my friends. So we're kind of all in a similar place in life, and we love trucks and like to get together and work on them.
You sound like a lot of us, right? The audience that's listening. Really, when you simplify things down. Trucks are rad, the metal, and it doesn't even have to be trucks. Cool old, radness is rad. And then really you're breaking bread with your friends and your family, and that's what it's all about. And what better, group of people than the truck community?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that it ultimately, like you said, regardless of whether it's a truck or a car, it's something you're passionate about. You and I actually share a similar passion in hunting, and I know we don't get to do it nearly as much as we used to anymore. But as long as as long as you find something you're passionate about and you can get together and do it with your buddies, I think that's a really cool thing, and that's really how United by Truck started. Just a good crew of people who wanted to get together and work on some trucks.
How do you find the balance? That's probably something that I struggle with without a doubt. When you talk about the hunting, you talk about the family, you talk about the trucks, and then the success of UBT starts to breed more work. And then completely. At times you're just like, I created this monster, but how do I balance that? So do you struggle with that? Because I know I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I find myself using that phrase, I created this monster, quite a bit. Me and my friends created this monster, but it's, a lot of the video and the editing and the coordination of schedules and making sure we get to shows, a lot of that falls on my plate, and I welcome that. I want that, but it's an extremely hard thing to balance. So I have a day job. thankfully, I get to work from home. You know, a lot of it is computer based. So I'm already in front of a computer. So I got a lot of flexibility in my day job. But, you know, it still takes a lot of time away from family, away from friends, and just away from other things like hunting, for example. So to be honest with you, I haven't found the balance yet. Some weeks I feel good about it. Some weeks I'm like, yeah, I think I really did a good job of, you know, giving UBT enough attention, giving my friends and family enough attention, giving myself enough downtime just to chill, because as you probably know, it's stressful, you know, to know when you have certain things coming up, whether it's a big trip or it's a big interview or it's a big, you know, a big day of shooting where you're all trying to make sure everything goes right when you're working on this truck. So I think that, you know, some days I feel really good about it. And some days I'm like, you know, I probably didn't do the best with all the balance this week.
Yeah, it's a tough. You make it look great, obviously on the end that we see, which is important, and I love that you keep the family as part of it. You know, your wife, we get to see her. I feel like I've only seen your daughter. Is there a son?
Yeah, I have a son too, and he's in the video some, but he likes the actual back end stuff more than he likes to even be on the camera. But yeah, my little girl loves the camera. She eats it up. I mean, she's 4 years old and has, you know, all she can remember since I've had this channel going for the last couple of years, all she can remember is me running around with a camera all the time. So she's very much used to it and likes to be on camera. So
one thing the family, you're gonna get to experience, and I love that you will, is especially your daughter and your son, I'm sure, is like when I get a new sticker or something in, my girls put it on their cell phone, or my son has like a banner in his room, and that's a cool feeling. That's a feeling that I don't expect the audience to really understand. Obviously, just a prideful moment as a parent, and they're proud of, Dad, you're the YouTube guy. Dad, you're the podcast guy.
Right?
Yeah. Or even like for me, Dad, you're the firefighter, or whatever it is. Right. Obviously, there is a prideful thing there with your family. Now, what can you expand on what you do for a living? Because I'm sure people would love to know.
Yeah, and I answered this way back in a very early Q&A that was probably getting very minimal views, but I'm in data and technology sales. So I work for a giant company, and I basically sell employment and income data to state agencies. So they're using it in the benefits process, basically to determine eligibility. So
you look at numbers, you're moving numbers around, and you're letting everybody know about more numbers. So statistics?
There's a lot of metrics. That's what I call them, metrics. But it's a sales job too. So I'm building relationships just like I do in the truck community. I mean, I feel like that is something that very much carries over from my corporate career into trucks and into my friendships. Is I am big on relationships. I'm big on loyalty, and that's something that that goes both ways from my day job into my personal life and into UBT as well.
Yeah, that makes sense, and it's cool the way that you've made that that transition, or kind of developed that and really implemented that same level of loyalty and care and passion into what you're doing with UBT. Did you toy with the video stuff before, or were you like, hey, I want to do this and I'm self-taught?
Yeah, man. So I joke about this quite often, especially because I get tons of questions about, hey man, what cameras are you using? And these are from people who are watching the channel and trying to get their own channel started, which I wholeheartedly support. It is, what cameras are you using? How'd you get started? And man, I'll be honest with you, I started with this iPhone. Actually, maybe not this one because it was 2 years ago. This one. But it was like an iPhone.
He didn't just hold up an iPhone 6, I'll tell you that.
No, this iPhone 11 Pro. But before that, it was an iPhone like 7 or something like that. This was, November 28th of 2018. I'll never forget it because I was sitting in my chair over lunch doing, I had my work computer in my lap, flipped it over to YouTube to do a little review or try to find some reviews of a new truck I was looking at. It wasn't even an old truck. I ran across a friend of mine's channel. He's now a friend of mine. His name's John Wargo. He was messing around with 2018, crew cab Chevy truck Z71s. And I was like, man, I wonder if anybody would care about what I'm doing and what me and my friends are doing in the classic truck space. So I was like, well, I'll just test this out. I've got some video on my phone from 6 months earlier where we had started to put Teddy, our 68 GMC, together. And that truck is, it's nothing special. It's got some cool patina, still got all the rust through that it had the day I bought it. But people really gravitated towards seeing some of that footage. And then I very quickly stopped dipping into the older footage I had and started creating new footage. But to answer your question, no, I started with an iPhone November 28, 2018, slowly, I guess it was probably 2 or 3 months in, I got a GoPro Hero 5 Black. And then I got another GoPro to start doing sort of the multi-angle thing. And then I was like, okay, I really love this. I had no training whatsoever, just started doing what I thought looked cool. And I was like, I'm really going to invest in a camera, and a good camera. And I ended up buying, a Nikon Z6 and planning to buy another one of those here soon. But it's, just no background before that. I like to think I have, sort of a creative mind. I've always been in music and played guitars and have helped other people create good quality content. But I wasn't holding the camera. I didn't know how they were actually getting it. I was more in control of message and that type of thing. So this scratched an itch that I have, that I didn't really know I had in the beginning, but that it's kind of all consuming now. I mean, the camera, the video, the editing, it's in parallel with all the passion for the trucks, much like probably it is for you in creating your content. You become, like you said, so prideful and so proud of what you're able to create, that it kind of, they run parallel with each other, the topic and the actual, creating the content.
And for the audience, it's once you have that prideful position, you definitely don't want to put anything out that's not to the level that you expect and or feel that the audience expects. So that almost makes it even harder, because you keep challenging yourself there to make really good content, and you're like, I can't put that out. I've got to do this, this, and this, or I've got to, just a little bit. So no different than building a truck. It's that last 5%, that last 10%. Oh, that trim's not right. I want to wire this up and clean this up. So, which all requires time. At the end of the day, what would you say is your biggest lesson learned in the 2 years that, one thing you just said was, like the camera angles, or, maybe I was just a guy watching and now I'm the guy doing it.
Yeah.
What's something that you've learned that really, you're like, aha, like, holy shit, why wasn't I doing this before?
Well, it's going to sound really silly. I actually just answered this question to a friend of mine, Travis Lancaster, who's got a channel he's just started. And he's like, man, what do I do to make sure I'm getting all of this? And honestly, my advice is shoot everything. Shoot as much as you can, because for the first year, I would always end up thinking, man, I wish I had more B-roll of that truck. Or I wish I had a little bit more of that conversation in the truck between me and Rick or Ron or whomever. So I think if it's, take the equipment that you have and do the most you can with it. And in my opinion, it's film everything you can, film as much as you can, and then deduce from there. Because if you don't have it, you can't go back and you can go back and recreate it, but you're not going to get that authentic, genuine feel that you would if it happened in the moment.
Perfect. Yeah, I've talked to Grinder Brian Good about that. It's like, if you just leave it on and you shoot it, you can always have it and not use it. But if you want something that you don't have, you can't use it. So just get it. And then, because I've been in that situation where I kind of trust my gut, and then I'm like, man, I don't want to annoy that guy and ask him to do this, or I don't want to do this. And then I'm just like, and I'm sure they're the same way. It's like you want the guest to be, so proud of what you are creating too.
Sure.
So you're like, dude, I'm doing this for you too,
exactly.
as well. Yeah. All right, good. Now, what about a mistake? I've got one in my mind that I'm wondering, but what was your biggest mistake?
Mistake from like a camera perspective, like a filming perspective, or like just messing around with trucks? From
your two, yeah, no, not that. We'd be here all day. From your 2-year YouTube UBT, I'll give you a hint, Whitlock Garage experience.
Yeah. So
just because I remember talking to you about it.
I wouldn't call it a mistake. I would just say that, originally when I started the channel, and I think this is what you might be alluding to.
Yeah.
When we started the channel, it was called Whitlock Garage. It's because of the area I live in. It's called Whitlock Heights, outside of Marietta. But it's a beautiful place. It's something that Whitlock is a name that's everywhere all over this community. I didn't grow up here, but my wife grew up here. We live half a mile. I could literally throw a rock from my front yard and probably hit my in-laws. But this is an area I'm very proud of. And I started, at a house just a quarter of a mile down the street in my garage. And I was just doing simple bolt-on stuff because that's what I do. I don't weld. I can't do fab work or anything like that. Just a simple bolt-on guy. So in my 2-car garage, and I was like, I got to name this something. I think I'll just call it Whitlock Garage. I'm in Whitlock as a community. Obviously, I'm in my garage. But, it really started to, the first 3 months as this content was getting out there and I'm receiving all this feedback from viewers and an audience that was starting to form, it was like, man, we're united by trucks. Like, yes, this is Whitlock Garage, but it's not this is not like an open to the public garage. It's not, I'm no mechanic. I'm not going to go put my name on a contract and say, I can do this for your truck or something like that. I mean, we really work on our own stuff as a group of friends. So I kind of felt like the Whitlock Garage name morphed into, or the Whitlock Garage channel morphed into something, much bigger and much better even than what I had originally thought. So I started working in this phrase, welcome to Whitlock Garage, where we are united by trucks. And ultimately, after I said that a few times, I was like, man, I think I just need to call this thing United by Trucks. I don't think I'm too far, into the story of this channel that I can't make a change like that. I think one thing I did that at least made me feel a lot better, and I think it made the audience feel a lot better too, is I put a poll out there on YouTube community, which is kind of like the Facebook feed on YouTube, and just said, hey, look, I'm thinking about changing this thing to United by Trucks. Here's why. What do you think? And overwhelmingly, it was United by Trucks. Obviously, it's easier to market. It's easier to say. It's easier for your viewership and your audience to tell others about. And there is that, the foundation is a real sense of community and a real sense of unity around these trucks. I mean, look at you and I. You and I didn't really know each other before any of this. I knew who you were, obviously, because you've been paving the path for us all for a long time. But look at us now. We're getting to have this conversation. You and I have met a couple of times. We don't know everything about each other, but it's opened the door for us to have this conversation and get to know each other better. And, folks like Sam, and I've never even met Dino, so I'm really looking forward to doing that. And that door is open because, we're all united by trucks.
Yeah, it's a perfect name. It's a great name. I remember, I guess the lesson learned or whatever is when you build your channel, not specifically you, I love the transition, is maybe think bigger. And
sure.
And you were thinking, which is really even a testament to a cool story of how much you have grown and your audience has jumped in. And I love it. United by Trucks is so similar to, the trucks are cool and the people are cooler. And really, that's exactly what it's all about. It's just bringing everybody together. Just 2 weeks ago, we're in North Carolina and you're hanging out and you're just, that's what it's all about. And there may be small pockets out there all over the world, all over the United States. It's truck shows to truck shows, or car shows to car shows. I don't care if it's the Mustang people. I don't care if it's the Plymouth Fury people. Just have fun, enjoy your metal. And that's really what it's all about. So I'm glad you changed it. I remember talking to you. You're like, I just felt like at one point, I can't remember if you had to change something that was hard.
That's right. So you're talking about, I got the YouTube channel name changed to United by Trucks. No problem. Facebook, no problem. Of course, Instagram was the problem. So that's why I actually ended up with all the little spaces in between.
Underscores?
Yeah, the underscores. Thank you. On United by Trucks. It actually reads better, and I've gotten used to it. I like it better now. But yeah, I mean, it was a huge issue for me to try to get all that swapped over, and I had to create another account and just to back myself up. Thankfully, I got it all worked out. But a lot of these guys who are losing these followings, and you can say what you want about social media presence. If you're running any sort of business, I feel like it's a must. You need to have a social media presence. And a lot of these guys who are losing, their profiles, like Rick with SQRBDY, when he lost his, you work hard to build that following. I mean, you've worked really, really hard to build C10 Nation and C10 Talk. And now you've got all this other stuff going with OBS Talk. And I mean, that is, you put, like you said, you take pride in it and you put a lot of work and effort into that. And we've done the same. So when you end up in those scenarios where that can get kind of iffy as to how it's going to work out, that's a really stressful spot to be.
Yeah, and as of late, I know OBS Trends and then C10 Sales, the first one, which is Cougar, and I reached out to both those guys. I'm like, what'd you do? What's going on? How can we help? And then selfishly, what did you do? Because I want to know.
Right. Because I want to not do that.
Do I need 10 different passwords? Because when you get an account that's, a certain size, you're like, yeah, I don't want to just lose that. And then right now in social media, mostly for us is Instagram. The traction to build an Instagram account is not easy. And that's something that I see being in the heyday of the C10 movement, let's say 5+ years ago.
Yep.
You're gaining followers very quickly now with stuff like Bronco Talk and D100 Talk and even F100 Talk. Dude, it's a snail. And do I work it quite as hard? But it's so different. Like, and it's funny because when you can look at your analytics and your data and you're like, oh yeah, I'm still in the green. We got 6 more followers this week or something, it kind of gives you back to a balance. It gives you a level of like, all right, man, I had it pretty good back in the day. I'm gonna have to work a little harder for this. So you definitely don't want to lose it.
No, not at all. And I'm just, I think Instagram is a really important way for me and for UBT to stay in touch with our audience. Yes, there's a lot happening over on YouTube, but it's so easy for that same audience to get over on Instagram and to message us. And that happens, you know how that happens. It happens a lot. So I'm really thankful for Instagram, but it's one of those things like, make sure you set up your multi-factor authentication. Make sure that you're doing everything you can inside the app to keep yourself secure if you're trying to grow, if you're trying to grow your presence, particularly for a business reason or to complement some other, social media avenue. Just make sure you're doing everything you can. And I think the multi-factor authentication is what has made me feel. And if you don't know what that is, just go into your app. Instagram tells you all about that for your viewers or your audience. But I think that's been the one thing that's made me sleep a little better at night about my Instagram profile.
Yeah, especially when you have somebody like Rick who is so close that's had an account. It's cool because I'll give my the guys, the other hosts, hey, just log on to the account. You got free access. Do whatever you want, and then I'll get a text, and you're like, okay, it's working. Did you log in around this time? You're like, all right, it's working. No, that wasn't me. From from Singapore or wherever the hell it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the thing about Rick in particular, SQRBDY, I mean, he and I are friends. We do a lot of stuff on the channel together. We were friends way before the channel, but that's somebody who is grinding really hard, working really hard to put out great designs, working really hard to be on the road, working hard to help us get this footage. And to see, somebody like him, and to lose all that he had worked for, that was a really tough pill to swallow. So yeah, just make sure you're doing everything you can, if you care about your Instagram profile. Yeah, I think that's what it boils down to.
Back it up. And some guys probably don't care. They're like, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. But okay, so let's jump into trucks. Were you always a truck guy? Did you grow up a truck guy?
Yeah, I did. So my first truck was a 96 S10. So I came into, sort of the mini trucking scene. I'll admittedly say that when I was 12, 13, 14, I was kind of in that, hey, I want a 64.5 Mustang. I don't know, why, because now I look back at that, I'm not gonna say that's not a cool car, but it just doesn't interest me anymore.
Yeah.
So my parents, couldn't afford that. They didn't want to buy me that. So they bought me a 96 S10, and I promise you that was the best thing they ever did because that truck was cheap to modify. It was a great cruiser, and it was good on gas, but had plenty of power. So there was enough of sort of what we do now wrapped in that mini truck package that just really excited, me to be out and learn more about this stuff. And so in particular, that truck got me going to mini trucking shows, and it got me into 67 to 72 C10s because while I was there looking at mini trucks, the bagged 67, 72 would come rolling by, and I'm like, man, that's a dream truck. So I got my first 67 when I was 18. So.
Wow. Yeah. That's so right from a 96 S10 to a 67. Now, what happened to that truck?
Yeah. So the story's not great. The story's probably like a lot of other stories, especially when you're young. I mean, I'm 18, I'm about to go to college. But this was also back in a time where these trucks were cheaper. I paid $1,000 for a 67 short bed, step side, small back window, original paint, all original truck. My dad drove it home because I couldn't even drive a 3 on the tree. We paid $1,000 for that truck. Now I know that, there are different opinions about small back windows and step sides and all that, but you really can't do that today. You know,
Yeah,
you're not
no.
going to find a running, driving short bed 67 all original for $1,000. So I brought that truck home. My dad drove it home. Like I said, I couldn't even drive a 3 on the tree. Got it in the garage, tore it apart one summer, and then left for college and sold the truck in pieces.
For $1,000
Great story. I kick myself every day about it. It's not a great story, but that's what did it for me. And so once I got out of college, started making my own money, I got back into it. 71 short bed step side was my first one to get back into it with.
What happened to that truck?
I actually ended up selling it. A friend of mine, Chuck Lott, ended up building the truck. And then, you know, I've had 15, 20, 30 trucks since then probably, but
Were you on
in all varying conditions. They're not all running and driving and that sort of thing.
Did you, were you on the forum at all? Were you,
I was, yeah. Yeah. So I'm still on there. I get on there from time to time. It's a Georgia C10 boy. So just GAC10 boy. That's how I learned about your truck. The gold one, was it Poncho?
It's called Picacho, and what that
Picacho, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, no. It's a little. There's a peak. It's actually for the audience who could give two shits about the history, but it's the furthest west Civil War point where there was some. But when you're driving from Phoenix to Tucson, it's called Picacho Peak, and I don't even know how I came up with that name, but yeah,
you're just rad. I'm sorry I didn't remember it.
Oh, no, that's all right. That's a good build thread. That was fun. And it is funny to look back to those days when we would do build threads and the amount of time it would take. And now you're like, we're so spoiled with social media just to put it on there. And I remember like taking the picture and then go take the SD card out, get it to the computer, put it into the build thread, type a caption. And it's going to be sad for the forums, even just forums in general across the board, whether it's a Chevy, Ford, Dodge, again, back to the Plymouth Fury, I don't care. But there's so much information out there on those. So that's cool that you came and you have lineage to that. Because I think that's a big part of our community, that if you and for the audience, if you didn't have it and you don't have it, that's okay. What you have is you have Instagram, you have social media, Facebook groups and stuff like that. That's really where a lot of the forum has gravitated to the Facebook groups. You could just really dive in and get to know people. And that's the same thing. United by Trucks. I got to meet people like C10 Club, C10 King Renee, C10 Club, obviously. And so you started to get to know these people. And then when you met them, you're like, oh man, this is like the real guy. This is Dino. This is Renee, you know? And so it's cool that you have that lineage.
Yeah. And look, I take a great amount of pride in what little contribution I've been able to make to that forum, but it does not even measure to what I've learned off of that forum. And I still, to this day, if somebody, and I think I've even heard you talk about this, you know, you still get a lot of those, I still get a lot of those, you know, basic questions about how to lower a truck or what's the best drop or something like that. I will literally send somebody a link to that forum and just say, look, use that search bar. You don't even have to sign up. But there are hundreds of pages of pictures of trucks on that forum that are still there that can be seen. Obviously, you can take what you're learning there and then cross it up with Instagram. But you're right. I mean, there was such a community there. There's so much information. First time I ever heard about Dino's was there. Yeah. I didn't even know, you know, never even heard of Dino. So I think I got on that forum in 2012, maybe 2011 or 2012, which is, you know, 8 years ago now to think. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about, but a lot of really good information on the C772 Chevy truck forum.
Yeah, and I encourage everybody to go on there. It's easily, without a doubt, the number one most shared for me all the time, just because people want a quick answer. And I'm not really about to give it to them. Just dive in a little bit. You know what I mean?
Dive in, man. You'll get it.
Well, because there's always a particular, like, well, this backspacing, or I'm 5 lug, or I'm 6 lug, or I'm this, and I want to convert to this. Okay, so listen, dive in a little bit. And it's kind of one of those like dad lessons where it's like you're going to get a lot more out of it than just me spoon feeding you now or enabling you by saying, okay, here's this thread. Just go and dive in. And hopefully 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, you know, maybe 3 out of 10 stay there and they dive in and they get to learn and do some research because we need it to stick. We want it to stick, and we want those guys to keep the threads going and the just the information and the knowledge there is so. It's absolutely the best resource for anybody looking to do anything to modify. And one thing I always tell people is even if it's the 73 to 87s, I'm like, hey, there is a 73 to 87 forum, But there's also in 6772, there's subforums. So OBS, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to say those subforums altogether, I mean, you got 4753 or 4754 and then 5559, 60. I mean, you got every single, and they are just as, populated with critical information about those types of trucks. So that's really what I use the forum for, is to find out those differentiations, whether it be between, model years or actual, the complete truck design itself. So that forum is just, I can't say enough good things about it. And if you have a foundation in that, and you can take that forward into your builds and what other kind of content you're creating or what you're interested in, it's just a great thing to.
Yeah, they probably wish they would have changed it to allradchevytrucks.com or something, because so many people are like, but my truck's in 84. And like, I know, just listen, go to 67 to 72 and there's a subforum. You mentioned something there, and I assume I've done it myself. I'll go through and look at an old build thread or look at something, because if I'm going to do something and either talk about it or video it or something like that, it's like, I want to make sure that I'm not passing on the wrong information.
Oh, yeah.
Find yourself doing a little research.
Hey guys, one of the biggest upgrades I was able to make on Orange Slice is my lighting. Think about this. You've got your old school sealed yellow lights. You put in new United Pacific headlights, boom, quadruple the lightage. They look better, they perform better, and guess what? They're safer. So you've got LED options, you've got new headlight options, they look great. And honestly, we upgrade so many things with our trucks, why not upgrade the lighting? When you do, think United Pacific. Here's the best part. You get to save 15% off all C10 products by using code C10Talk15. Save 15% off all C10 products by using code C10Talk15. Go to upcarparts.com. That's right, upcarparts.com. I don't think you'll forget it. Save today. Thanks, guys. Give them a follow on social media too, Facebook and Instagram. Hey guys, I've got Bobby from PSI Conversion on the phone looking at LS LT based motor swaps. Bobby, why should we choose PSI Conversion?
Ronnie, our harnesses are made right here at home in the U.S. Our product lineup includes the early 90s Gen 2 LT motors, Gen 3, Gen 4 LS VotorTech motors, and Gen 5 LT and LT4 packages. We have transmissions ranging from automatic 4, 6, 8 speeds, and soon to be released our new 10-speed, in addition to all the manual options out there.
Wow, you guys cover everything. How do you deal with intimidation factor when a customer is doing their first LS or LT swap?
Great question, Ronnie. But the thing is, there's nothing that we haven't seen here in the LS and LT world. If you grab almost any motor out of a junkyard, you want to Frankenstein to build together or even supercharge it. Leave it to our sales team to help guide you along the way to the products that you need for your restoration. We have over 10 years of experience in the market, a tech department that is available to help troubleshoot and diagnose any issues or questions that you have along the way while installing your PSI products. Couple that with a staff that is going to be standing by our product with pride, made right here in the U.S. to a GM quality standard. Our team is happy to get you wired up and fired up.
And don't forget, guys, use code C10Talk and you'll save 5% off your order. PSIconversion.com. PSIconversion.com. You want to save 5%? Use code C10Talk at checkout. Thanks, Bobby.
I want to make sure that I'm not passing on the wrong information.
Oh, yeah.
Find yourself doing a little research.
Oh, completely. I think that, and I'll say, I won't say something on camera that I'm not 100% about unless I say I'm not sure about that. You know, I'm very big on, I don't want to put misinformation out there. That's not what I'm into. If you're watching our videos, I want you to feel confident about the information you're getting. I want you to be entertained, you know, all that. But I'm very specific about the types of information I'm putting out there and making sure that it's correct, at least to the best of all our knowledge. I mean, there's a lot of new products out on the marketplace right now that, you know, we've been talking about amongst our team, like, you know, the modular spindles, whether it's the X10s or the Pro spindle by Willwood, that, you know, people are trying to figure out how those fit with certain other components, you know, across the chassis products. But it's being able to have that resource, go back, look at it, make sure you got your facts correct before you hop on the mic or hop on front of a camera, or just tell your buddy sitting next to you riding down the road, you know, some piece of information that could be wrong and steer them in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and I think too, the audience sometimes might hold it to a higher level. So for you to have and be cognizant that, hey, the disclaimer, I'm not
Sure.
100% on this. I just want to let you know this is my experience, this is my opinion. But
Right.
especially when it comes to this new stuff, when you look at some of the new products that are coming out, you want to stay current, but
Yeah.
you're like, well, I want to be current, but I also want to, get this out, and I want to do
and make sure it
research
works.
on it. So yeah, just be considerate of both Robbie, his crew, his team, and anybody else doing it. Now, some people just get on there and they just are complete and total full of shit. And that's no different than in real life for the audience.
That's true, man. We encounter that every day, right?
Yeah.
But I think that, like you said, I mean, we are, like I've always said, not a mechanic. Don't pretend to be. Do not care to work on somebody else's vehicle for money. That's not something I do. It's not something the immediate UBT guys do. Like I said, my shop partner, Mike Howe, he's open for business. We share shop space. We do a ton of work together, but I never want to come across as that guy who knows every single thing about a truck or even, about a carb or whatever. I'm a normal dude who has an immense interest in classic trucks and modifying them, and whether it's up or down. But I don't ever want to come across as that guy who knows it all, that guy who is, always has the right answer. I'm just a normal dude who loves these trucks.
I like that because that puts a little less stress on your shoulder, that you've already put a lot on your shoulders.
I don't need any more stress.
Yeah, well, and I know, because you're just trying to meet a deadline and you're trying to put out really great content. And sometimes people and or yourself might even, hold you to that standard, which I know you do. And
Sure.
The audience might be like, well, Robbie said, it's like, hold on. Let's look at this. So it is good. And the little bit amount of work that you could do at the beginning will usually pay dividends down the road. Whereas you're like, shit, why'd I say that? That's not right.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to go do a disclaimer that I made a mistake or whatever. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and it wasn't a big mess up or anything like that, but I've had to go back and say, you know what, I didn't actually do this the way I should have done it, and it was something simple like that sound deadener. I was working with Roy over at Vibro. He got everything we needed. I put it in wrong. I should have put the base layer down before the foam, but I put the foam down, the base layer. I just wasn't thinking we were in a hurry.
Yeah.
It was 2 days before LST, but I videoed all that. All that. I put it out there, and I was like, I got to make sure that people understand this is not how Roy at Vibro would suggest you do it. This is me making a mistake. It'll probably be fine, but this is how you should do it going forward. If you're going to do this, it's something. And what's crazy is that it was something so simple. We put sound deadener in trucks a million times, but that one time you mess it up, that one time it's on camera, that one time you've got a relationship with the company, and I just felt like, hey, let's just be transparent about this. Let's just say this is not how you really should have done it.
Cool. Yeah, good. And we're all here to learn. So you learn from that, and everybody gets to learn from our mistakes, your mistakes, and we just learn and grow and try to provide the best content we can.
Absolutely.
Cool. So you've had, let's say, 15 to 30 trucks. You kind of threw that out there. What's a truck that you wish you could have back if you could?
Ooh, I wish I could have that 67 back, honestly. And the funny thing is, so my very first 67, the funny thing is we took a couple of pictures, but that was like really before cell phones or anything. I mean, I guess that was I graduated high school in 2002. So I guess that was in 2002. Maybe I had a cell phone. I really can't even remember, but I don't have a lot of pictures of that truck. So I really wish I just knew what the truck even looked like, because my memory is so faded about it, and I don't have, like I said, I don't have very many pictures of it. So I think I would like to go back and just be able to have that truck back again, especially knowing what I know now, but have that truck back.
Yeah, your first truck and your first C10.
Yeah, first C10.
That's cool. Yeah, that is cool. And you wonder, Mom, do you have any of it in the garage? Dad, do you have anything? Or the 3 on the tree? And I'm sure you
like
probably have a few.
Or something over there.
Oh yeah, the inner wheel well, the inner tub is over there.
Just the Folgers can full of bolts. That's about it.
There's a lot of them.
No body panels, nothing.
What's a truck that's on your list, on your bucket list to build, or just get your hands on?
Yeah. So one of them I have, but it's so foreign to me, and it's also just a gigantic project financially for us to get started on, because we work on a lot of C10s. We have a lot of those parts around. We have a lot of those relationships. We know kind of how to get those things going quickly. But I've got a 61 unibody, an F100 unibody. So I'm going to throw that out on C10 Talk because I know you've got
well,
F100
you are United by Trucks, so it is.
I'm United by Trucks, even though we
Yeah.
are heavily GM. We all have interest in other brand trucks, but the 61 unibody is one that has always been on my bucket list. But in the GM realm, the 58, 59 quad headlight, fleet side steel bed truck, big back window, original paint, kind of what Chucksy does. That kind of truck is a dream truck for me, for sure.
Well, and I would think that you could find those in Georgia. They're still around. Probably
they're still around. They're still expensive. And when I do find them, it's whether it's something not lining up financially or space wise. I mean, I have a space issue, a storage issue with trucks. They're just all over the place. So that limits how I jump sometimes and what trucks I jump on. But one day
that keeps you in check. You'll get it. You'll get one there, and if I come across them, I'll send them to you because I dig those task force, like you said. They're out there, and Chuck's a great example of a guy. And then we've got Homegrown Rides who builds them here in Tucson. He's all the way down south. But I want to go back to the 61 unibody because that is something that it's a term of endearment to me, and it's something I really love, and I love the guy. But suck it, Solomon.
I knew that was coming.
Unibody Union. Yeah. I know you and Solly are good buddies, and he stopped over at the UBT headquarters a few times. He's a great guy. He's great for the industry and great for the community, especially what he does for the Ford community. So that'd be a fun one for you guys to work on together and just.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked about it a lot, actually. I mean, if you know Solomon, and I know a lot of your audience has really gotten to know him, even though he's so heavily on the Ford side, but he's very passionate about Ford trucks, man. And when he heard I got that unibody, he reached out, and we were, we've been talking about doing something with that truck for a long time. So that's why I always preface it with a, hey man, that's a big investment. That's a big time commitment for me. I've just gotta make sure all those stars align. But I really, really want to get going on that truck eventually.
That's one thing that I really dig about, like, being able to branch out a little bit more. Once you are so GM, that's what you see. I see GM, the parts, it's funny when I get, and I've always been that way ever since I was a kid. I could spot, a Chevy style truck. I mean, a mile away. What I always like. I was my son just picked up an 80 Z28 Camaro, and it's so funny. I sit in this thing, and it's a bucket of, it's going to be a lot of work, but it's funny when I sit in it and I just look at all of the components that are the same as they are in the trucks. And that's one thing that GM did a great job of doing, just kind of having these uniform parts that kind of cross over. And that is another reason why I think GM is so popular, even to today, is you can find the parts, they're easy to work on, and, it's all about that balance because everybody is trying to balance the time. And it's like, hey, I can get this, this 84 C10, I can work on it. Everybody around the world knows how to work on them. There's more, YouTube videos and or forum posts where, a buddy of mine picked up a FJ40 Toyota that's 69. Yeah, sweet. He had it for maybe 5 months. He's like, I can't find this. I can't do this. And he got so frustrated. So it is cool that you're going to, potentially branch out.
And we are, for sure. Yeah.
I know you got your Wagoneer, which is as cool. Yeah,
that's not even,
United by Wagoneers.
I know everybody keeps saying when you start United by Jeeps, and I'm not going to. I'm into Jeeps, and a good buddy Wes that actually helped me work on the Wagoneer. He's way off into that kind of stuff, and I love that too because it's that whole unity around a vehicle, just around that passion. And so now we've become even closer because he's got this passion about his Jeep. I've got this passion about classic trucks and Wagoneers. And so we're just, growing that community even more and deepening those relationships even more. But I'm even looking for another F100 now. I'd really, really love to have a crew cab Dodge four-wheel drive. So I guess that'd be the D250 or a W250, something like that.
Are you looking swept line or what?
No, looking a little bit later.
73 to 90.
I would love to have a swept line, but I've only ever seen one crew cab swept line four-wheel drive. Because I want it all, a factory setup. I don't want to create one. I don't have to. But those are just such cool trucks. I mean,
they are.
But they're just so hard to find. So the branching out thing is something we're very, very much interested in.
Cool.
And are doing.
Yeah, and you've got, and for the audience, you've got Teddy, you've got your K5, the UBT K5 Blazer. Now you have Gus.
Yep.
And you're going to, what did you end up making the decision? To go Cummins or Duramax? Or
so I have. Well, I have the Duramax, and I've talked to you a lot about this early on, and you had obviously some great insight. Your podcast, and I forget the number, where you talk about for a ladies, you talk about Duramax. So I think that's actually over a couple of podcasts, but those were tremendously helpful. So I ultimately decided on an LBZ. So I have the LBZ. It's in a big box truck, so that actually came with a 4L85 versus the Allison. But I've got that drivetrain. It's in a running and driving box truck. Well, it was running and driving until Mike broke the rear end, but it's there and runs, and it's good. I'm just, I'll tell you like I tell anybody else, I'm still undecided as to whether I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I have it.
To leave the big block in there, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, you've been through the same scenario.
I get it, man. Everybody, Yellowstone, you got to put a Cummins in it. You got to swap it. I like the big block. Orange Slice, oh, you're finally pulling the big block. No, I'm pulling it to clean it and put it back in. I kind of like it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'd love to LS a lot of stuff, but it's, and you've got Gus, which is your crew cab, and it's God, I just think if it's a good motor, leave it in there and let it run for a while. I know for content, you're probably like, yeah, there's so much. I'm sitting on a gold mine of content, but that means time and everything else to go through what you got going.
Yeah, and I think that goes directly back to balance. So when you think about, okay, yeah, I'm saying that I'm considering doing this. I'd like to do this Duramax swap. That's something I've never done before. I've got to go source all the parts. I got to rely on folks like you or Jason Bowman or others over here on our side of the country who have done it. Just to to guide me in the right direction, because I want to have all the information I can up front, because we've done some LS swaps. We kind of know how that goes down. We kind of know what to expect. That's not a big deal, but Duramax swap is something new, so that requires a whole new set of, whether it's balance from a time perspective, it's a whole new financial cost, there's a whole new financial risk. What if something pops up halfway through that I did not expect, that somebody didn't tell me about? I got to spend a bunch of money to make it happen. It's just it's that unknown that really, puts things or kind of makes it halt for a minute. But I got this truck. I don't even know how long I've had it now. Maybe we'll call it 2 months, 3 months, 3 months. I've already put 2,500 miles on it, pulling my Airstream with my family in it, the AC running. Now it is running a little more rough than it was at the beginning of that couple of thousand miles, but I'm really just considering maybe rebuilding it, putting a cam in it to give it a little bit more power, maybe put a 4L80 behind it, and just leave it and drive it, And I got plenty of other things I can do with the Duramax swap. I've got all sorts of stuff going, that could be candidates for that. But I'm really I'm being a lot more cautious with this crew cab than I have been with some of the other trucks on that Duramax swap decision.
The biggest decision comes down to, in my opinion, in my experience, is that once you dive in to put the 4L80 and or 4L85 in, bottom line, there's an E behind both of those. And that becomes the problem, because that E means that you have to then buy module control, a tranny controller.
Yep.
Then you're like, well, how much am I going to spend on that? So that's where it's funny. It actually doesn't go engine, tranny, drivetrain, rear end. It goes tranny. And I want that overdrive. And when you get that, and what it takes to get that overdrive, I would say, and I would say, if you're keeping the truck, put the LBZ in there. And because if you're going to keep the truck, which I think you are, and it's such a clean truck, and you're going to have it for a long time. And it's one of those trucks where, as a guy who owns an LBZ, factory, I got an 07 Classic, which is an 06 leftover. You could almost get, with Gus and being a diesel swap, you're going to be able to have that for so long. A 91 has a ton of creature. I think it's a 91, but it's the end of square body. So it's got a ton of creature comforts, from windows that go up and down and AC and all that. And you'll have that truck for a long time, and it will give back. But to my mind, it really just comes down to that freaking tranny, because going from a turbo 400 to a 4L80, 4L85 is just so glorious. It's absolute for me, and just having that, watching my TAC just go, from 3,100 to being happy at 2,200 or whatever it is. Yeah, that's
thing. My
fuel gauge and my gas gauge and my wallet. And so now granted, your wallet is already hurting from the purchase and everything. So but it's the gift that keeps on giving. So it'll be fun to see what you do. I think you're finding and picking up some amazing trucks, which is cool. And we can't wait to kind of watch that. Now, how is this working now with the new shop? So you tell the audience that you got a new shop, and it's a kind of a business partner situation. He's a renter, he has a shop, and then you guys are doing it together. How does that work?
Yeah. So Mike Howe, he's had his own sort of thing going called How's It Doing Garage, just a play on his last name. And he is really good friends with a friend of mine, Jeremy Churchill, and another friend, Wesley Harden. So when we were talking about doing the Blazer build, I was like, man, because as I said, I can't do a bunch of fab work. I was like, I really need somebody who can help me get this 4-link set up, get this Watts link set up, get the notch in, just make sure all that is, has all the right geometry and the way that it should be, and then it's not going to go flying off when I go down the road. So they suggested him. He came over to the house, and I had the chassis out here. I'm looking to my left because my driveway's right here, and the Gus is right there actually. But the chassis was sitting here in the driveway. Mike came over. I said, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. He said, yeah, I actually have all the parts to do it. And so we ended up using a Thor Bros 4-link and Watts link and one of his homemade notches. And we settled on a number and got to work. And at that time, he wasn't actually in a shop. He was just doing all this fab stuff out of his 2-car garage at home too, which I appreciated because that's kind of how we started UBT too. And man, we just really got to be friends. He's from Michigan. He's a really unique guy, really smart guy, and he knows what he's doing on the fab side of the world. He actually still has a day job and works in the heavy machinery, heavy infrastructure type industry. So he's always working with big stuff. Nothing scares him. He knows how to work on cranes and just do crazy stuff like that. So we decided, hey, let's take your certain set of skills and what I bring to the table. Let's merge them together. Let's get a shop. We'll finish out this Blazer build. Maybe you can pull in some business, do what you need to do, and then I'll have a place, and you and I can work on our trucks together along with the rest of the crew. But Mike is really the guy who does a lot of the heavy fab lifting in particular. So we got a smaller shop, worked out really great. He started bringing in a lot of business. We've had a lot going with our builds, and especially finishing up the Blazer build, which is still happening. That's kind of how we do things.
Not we as in UBT, as we. Yeah.
Yeah, like just a truck guy in general, right? Orange
Slice is still down below me, and I got a few days to get it ready for the get down.
Exactly.
So
yeah. I got to go throw the rear seat in mine. I've still got quite a few things I need to do. But so we got the smaller shop. It worked out really well. We had an opportunity to plus size that, almost double. So we moved into a new shop. And honestly, it works out like in our new shop. I'm helping him generate some business. He's able to generate business because of what we're doing together on the channel, but he's also got a great reputation of his own. He's bringing in his own business. And then when we're in the shop, I'm not in the shop every single day because I'm not working on a truck every day. He's not really doing that either, but it creates this really cool environment where his group of friends, our mutual friends, my group of friends all come together and work on trucks. And sometimes we film it, sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's a customer project of his, and sometimes we're just in there hanging around drinking a beer. And it's just that another sort of confirmation or another step in that United by Trucks feel and vibe that we have, I think.
Good for you guys. It looks awesome. The shop looks awesome. One thing you just said, and I actually love this, is we might not film it. And it's funny to hear you say that in that we just said film everything, but maybe don't film it. And I'm glad to hear you say that, because there's probably a few times where you just, and who would have ever thought, in 2 years, which is awesome and a success, is that, hey, I just want to have a beer. I don't want to have to worry about being behind the camera. I don't want to worry about being behind the mic. It's just my little private time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's important too.
And you can still do that and do the same things that you were doing, and also do it with the same people. And so what I meant by film everything is, like, if you have a day or you have an event or you have a project, film everything related to that.
Sure,
good point. I'm not one of those guys who says film every part of your life. And yes, I have really transitioned into doing a lot more of the vloggy type stuff that's maybe a little more centered around what I'm actually doing that day or what parts I'm out running to get or whatever. But I by no means film every aspect of my life. And I do, I like having control of what's put out there, if I'm being honest. I mean, that's I don't think I'm wrong for that. And it's just fun sometimes to go to the shop with your buddies who are used to you having cameras around and not have cameras around.
Sure.
Have a beer, turn a wrench. That's what me and Rocky did last night. We rode out to the shop. He needed to mess around with something on his shifter. We needed to drop the seat off and unload some wheels and tires. So that's what we did. And we sat down and had a Modelo, and then we went home at 9:30.
You're almost like, remember when we didn't have a camera in our face kind of moment? And I don't mean that negatively by any means.
No.
It just means that having that privacy, having a break, and just, going back to a Modelo and a quick, fix here or there is a good thing as well, because it all does come down to balance.
It does, because the camera will wear you out. There is so much fatigue, at least for me. There's so much fatigue and stress that goes along with it, because like you said in the beginning, I want to get a certain shot. I want to have that quality of footage. I want all the guys to be engaged and to be, on board, and just we're all sort of moving in the same direction. And that takes a lot of, effort, and takes a lot of stress sometimes for us all. So it's just nice to not have the camera on all the time.
You brought up Rocky. I don't think you could do it without your crew. I know you're going to. So you've got TTR, which I think stands for 3 trucks now instead of 2 trucks. But
who knows? It changes daily.
You've got TTR. You've got Barry behind the camera a lot. You've got Rick, who we brought up a few times. Yep. Rocky, Mike, Wes helps you out. Who else? And Harrison, obviously, I love him. You've got a great group of guys. How have you been able to assemble such a great group of guys? And not only that, but they're all on board. At least it appears to be.
C10 Nation. Let me tell you about my buddies Travis, his dad Jack, a.k.a. Dad. They run Pro Performance, AZ Pro Performance. They're active in our community. They're C10 guys. They're always working on new stuff, like their new suspension line, React Suspension. They're master dealers for Dakota Digital, Bear, Boyd Welding, Vintage Air, and many more. They're C10 specialists and stock many fast-moving products backed by their stellar customer service. Not only do they sell C10 parts, but they live and breathe C10s and are very active in our community. Like I said, look for them at your next truck show. And they want to talk to you and help you out with your C10 project. Follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and you can also check out their Facebook group called C10 Addiction. So check them out and let them know that I sent you. Hey guys, I have Greg Carpet from Dakota Digital on. Greg, why should we choose Dakota Digital?
Ronnie, I think we're the best. If you want something that looks cool and fits in the dash, we've got that. If you want something that's going to work with either a 327 or an LS3 or anything in between, we can do that. We've got a ton of direct fit instrument systems for all these pickups, and then we've got some modules that'll plug into the computer for your LS, your LT, pull all the info straight out of the computer, put it in the cluster. So it's really the easiest, most functional, most user-friendly package on the market.
I agree. And the cool thing is, from the modern perspective of technology, you can even use your phone if you need to.
Yeah, our HDX and RTX lines of instrumentation, so our newest platforms we've released, do have a mobile app, and you can put that on your phone or your tablet. So not only speed calibration and color selections and all of the setup parameters can be done on your phone or tablet. You can also run the real-time gauges. So if you're, say, under the hood working on something, you can have the oil pressure and the coolant temp pulled up so you don't have to run back and forth. So the app is really a nice upgrade on these.
You want the look, you want the performance, and you want to be able to see your gauges. Dakota Digital. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Not only that, but they're all on board. At least it appears to be. For the most part, they're all on board.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to that balance thing. I try not to wear everybody out. I try to be very strategic about when we're working on things and how we're working on things. And the Blazer, the build up to the Blazer, 45 days out from LST was not a great example of how I want to do things going forward. And all the guys and us, we talked about it. We're all very transparent about this kind of thing. It wore us all out. And by the time we got to LST, we were all just dead and not in the mental space that I felt like I wasn't in the mental space I wanted to be in. And I felt like some of the other guys were worn down too. So, a lot of this has grown very quickly. So we're already learning how to try to make things, better. But a lot of these guys, it goes back. I knew them before the channel. Rocky actually went to school with my wife. I knew Rick and Ron, before the channel. Ron bought parts from me over in the garage. That's how we first met. I met Rick at one of the club meets. There's just there's just a really core group of folks that had nothing to do with the channel. You know, that it was all pre-channel. But since we got the channel going, it's expanded our relationships. I mean, people are interested in what we're doing. Obviously, we're interested in what others are doing. And Brian Harrison is one of those. Jesse Vaughn at level 7. Those are, you know, sort of the two critical, and I would say opposite ends of the spectrum, or two builders who are doing things very different but in the same community. And I absolutely love that, because my tastes are all over the place. You know, I love the pro touring thing. I love the street rod 18s and 20s that Brian's doing. I also love a completely stock vehicle. So I like building relationships and having these friendships with people who are doing entirely different things, so that we can show the truck community that all this is happening out there. You know, you don't have to be all about the bags and bodies and 20s. You can still be about that 30,000 mile square body that you just pulled out of, you know, your grandpa's garage, or, you know, just whatever the case may be. So I think the diversity and sort of the crew of people that we're all working with, we all have different tastes. All our friends are, you know, interested in different things, but then being able to build and develop new relationships with folks because of UBT, because they've seen UBT, or because I felt like, hey, I've got a little bit of a platform. I can reach out to some of these guys now and feel like I can bring something, you know, to the table. It's just been a really good thing. And I know this is a long answer to your question, but a lot of what I'm big on is organic. I want things to happen naturally, organically, whether that's building a relationship, whether that's growth on YouTube or any social media platform. You know, I'm not into clickbait, not into buying or paying for likes or followers. I don't even know how any of that stuff works. But I'm also, you know, I want my friendships to be organic. I want these relationships that we're building, like, you know, this relationship I'm building with you, very organic thing. You know, it's nothing forced, all feels normal. And that's just what I pride myself on. And I think the rest of our crew does that too.
Yeah, and you would know that, right? There's a level of when somebody comes into a team, you know, I like the PC, so they were pre-channel. I want to make sure I let Brian and Jesse know that they're post-C, right? So you've got pre-channel, post-C. Oh, you're friends with Robbie? Are you PC or post-C? I need to know.
Let's not start that. That's going to put people in an awkward place. But it is funny.
At least just Jesse. So
right,
yeah,
we'll just put him in the corner. Yeah.
I do think that this is something that I've talked to John Oro about is kind of, he has a sergeant at arms, and that sergeant of arms, John knows who it is, I know who it is, and that guy knows who he is. And you probably have dealt with it, because I know at one point you were, you know, involved with C10 Club Georgia, but so yeah, there's a filter there that if you come in and you're there to maybe be on Robbie's YouTube channel, you might not last long. Maybe you will, you know, maybe you'll figure it out. But the bottom line is, it's cool that you say, hey, they were here organically way before. And I feel like I have a group same way. It's like, if I had the pod on, they'd be here whether the pod was on or the pod was off. And some of my best friends I've met through this United by Truck situation. I've met them through the trucks, through the shows, through questions. And then we realized, wow, we really have connected. So I kind of have old school high school buddies, fire department buddies. Some of those fire department buddies and high school buddies have become truck buddies as well. And so there's all these different segments. And that's one of we struggle with balance, but the friendship overfloweth and that's a great problem to have. And you do as well. And you have a great group of guys. For the audience, if you haven't had a chance to check out UBT, which I can't imagine you haven't, but you'll get to see some of the different characters and the different people. And that's another thing that's really cool is you have some characters. You know, Rocky's got his own little thing. Obviously, TTR's, you know, him and his
TTR's a wild man.
He's a wild man, all right. So I love to see what you have there, and it is a fun thing. The success is obviously proves that as well. What do you think about the scene out there? Because I think one thing that I really like is that you are, one thing that I've always kind of said is I wish I could be more involved with the scene out there. It's so easy for me to be west of the Mississippi, whether that's even Texas, but you are out there and you do a great job of bringing that. And really, I take it like a level of everybody deserves it, whether it's Illinois, Georgia. I wish we could give everybody the shine. And that's one thing that's fun about LST is because it's the kind of a rainbow where people can come to Texas. We get to see a lot of that. But my hat's off to you from that perspective, because I feel like the east of the Mississippi, whether that's Georgia, Mississippi, you know, everywhere that you go for the shows, the credit to give everybody that's out there.
Well, and I think that, and this is not a knock on the West Coast, and it's not a knock. In fact, it's a compliment for what you and the Oros and the Dinos and the Castronovas and all those guys that are in your group, and even folks who aren't but are on the West Coast doing big things in the truck community. Like you made a comment earlier in this podcast about, really the heyday about 5 years ago or something like that. I consider this the heyday for us, for this side of the country, really. And ultimately, it just goes back to, I wanted to be able to show what is happening in the South, in the eastern side of the country, because of my involvement with C10 Club Georgia, I knew that there were lots of really, really cool trucks being built. There's a lot of great people here, just like there are on the West Coast and everywhere in between. And because I'm here, obviously, my content is going to be, more on the southern side because I'm in the South. But there's a way that we can bring LST. There's a way that we can bring Dinos. There's a way that we can bring C10 Fall Revival. There's a way that we can, pick your show across the country. If we are able to get to it, I think that just helps us all because it lifts us all. If we're all in this same community together, which we are, we're just all spread across the country. But if we can shine a spotlight on folks everywhere across the country who are putting on these shows, who are building these trucks, or who may not even have a truck but is supporting their best friend who does and helping him in his garage and drinking a six-pack every night with him while he's doing a suspension or something. Those are the kinds of people that need to be celebrated. Those are the kinds of people that need to be lifted up in our community. And I'm happy to be a small part of helping do that. And I do take pride in being able to hopefully shine a little bit more of a spotlight on those folks, those shows, those trucks over here on the eastern side of the country.
It's intoxicating, and really, I love it. And it's one of those things where why not give credit and where credit is due? You have great people, great trucks, and whether they're being influenced by Texas, Arizona, California, I don't care if they're being anywhere, I don't care.
Yes.
But I think that, and one thing about even having your shop, it's cool, is like you could take a guy who has maybe never owned a truck, and you put him in that environment, he's going to want to get a truck. He's going to want, because there's something, and obviously in the land of COVID that we live now, we realize even more so how that human connection and how we strive to, we love that, whether we like to admit it or not, but breaking bread, sitting at the shop, even if that guy doesn't want a wrench, he just wants to hang out and drink a cold one, and just that environment with everybody. That becomes really what, United by Trucks and the community that we have together is what it's all about. At the end of the day, whether it's a Ford, whether it's a Jeep, whether it's a GM product, it's just like, hey, we're going to get together. It's somewhat of a fraternity. Yeah,
I agree completely. And I would even say there's also the sorority aspect to it. I'm not just out here to hang out with all my dudes, like there's a lot of great girls and ladies and women who are out there so interested in these trucks, even more than we are, and are building them. You think of Halen Ashley, and then Mike's girlfriend, Anna Brown, who's all off in the mini trucking scene, and they're all off in, in square bodies and stuff now. I think that those people need to be lifted up too. And having them, a part of this community. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all in this together, whether it's boys, girls, black, white, it does not matter. It absolutely doesn't matter to me. So I'm just all about being a part of that community, lifting it up and trying to do what I can to make it grow.
Yeah, and you are, and it's a good thing. That's why I have you as 200. I really do think you're doing a great job for the community, and especially out there on the east side. And I think it's above and beyond, and the respect that you have for the community and the growth, and really the fraternity, the sorority. So, you brought it up a little bit. You had some trial. It's well documented. You don't need to go in too much depth, but your trip to LST with the Blazer. You give us a few little struggles that people can learn from with that. And then now that you're getting ready to come out to the Get Down, which is, because to think, like, I was like, man, I don't know. I did a round trip last year where I went to NorCal, back down Cali, AZ, back home real quick, and then to Texas, Oklahoma, and back. And it ended up being 4,500, but I did get one stop at home one night. Yeah. I can't imagine going all the way from GA to PHX and then turning around and doing it again. So give us a few things that you're thinking about doing this week, getting the K5, the UBT K5 ready, and then maybe a few things that you learned from, last year, getting ready and going to LST.
Yeah, so I'll touch on LST first. So earlier this year, like I was saying, we had a 45-day crunch. We kind of had the chassis put together, but we still had we took a 4-wheel drive body, swapped it over to a 2-wheel drive chassis. So that 4-wheel drive truck K5 was all still together once we rolled into 2020. We just had basically the chassis together. So we spent 45 days crunching, getting that truck together. And the details are super fuzzy leading up to it, but it wasn't, quite. I think we drove it maybe 2 days before. I think it was about 2 days before we left to go to LST. Like, okay, we feel like this is a pretty complete vehicle, functional, as I like to call it, not together, but functional. And so we struck out, headed to LST, whole crew of people, 4 people in the Blazer, trucks, going out there with us. And we were expecting a really great time, and we had a great time, but coupled to, add in the rain, add in some of the breakdowns, the colder weather. I still don't have AC or heat in that Blazer right now. So it was a little cooler going out there than we expected. So some of those little elements contributed or increased how painful the smaller breakdown things were. Mm-hmm. So we had a simple issue with the fuel pump wire running into we had a simple issue with that not being long enough. So it was intermittently, it just kept, losing its connection, but it only did that after 14 hours of driving the truck, and then cut it off and go to turn it back on, the fuel pump will kick on. So we finally spent a few hours diagnosing that because we didn't know that's exactly what was happening. And it was cold, and you're under an awning in a gas station parking lot, and it's 9:30 at night. You've been driving 14 hours already. It's only supposed to be a 14-hour trip. Turns into 21.
You're tired. You've been 45 days tired.
I mean,
running on fumes.
Yeah, I mean, we were completely exhausted, and that's every single one of us that had any hand on that truck. I mean, we were doing it very consistently, very consecutively, and it was rough. But that's what we subject ourselves to. That's what we needed to do to get that done and make it a successful trip. So that's what we did. On the way home, small brake issue. We just had a brake line crack at the flare going into the master. So very quickly, pulled over, got that assessed, rebent a new line, got it all set up. But those are really the kinds of things I'm thinking about for this trip. I'm thinking, I'm going to put it up on the lift tomorrow before we head out on Tuesday morning. But put it up on the lift tomorrow, just get under it, check everything out. It's not leaking anything, make sure the bolts are tight, all that sort of thing. But, right now I'm thinking about, I got to get this back seat in because Cato just finished our back seat. So he did our 2 front seats earlier before we went to LST, and then he got the back seat finished up yesterday, actually. So we finished it up. We're going to put the back seat in, just do some little odds and ends stuff to make sure we're good to go. There's still tons of cosmetic things that I want to do on the Blazer. I want to completely refinish the top, like the actual, Blazer top, but then the cab top as well. It's got, it needs some paint attention. So we're gonna take care of that eventually, but right now we're focused on functionality and safety. Make sure everything's in line so we can get out to you guys, do it safely, and turn around and get back home.
Do you have a truck trailer going with you too, just in case for a big breakdown?
So we don't. We normally have at least a chase truck. Just a truck that's got merch and tools and all that stuff. But we're actually rolling out there to you guys without very much merch at all. Like, we're coming to just hang and film. Like, I'm not, how it is with a booth. You get tied to the booth, and that's a big component of what keeps UBT going. So I'm very thankful for folks who buy the merchandise and all that. But it is it can be time consuming. It can keep you to the booth where you can't really get out. Well, Dino's is one of those places. We want to come and hang out with everybody. We don't want to have to work the whole time, even though we're going to film everything. Yeah. But that's the kind of work we're willing to assume. And the rest of it, we want to be hanging with you guys. So we're really looking forward to it, man. I'm excited.
It goes back to the balance. You brought it up. It's perfect, because you built it and you built the monster, but then you want to sell merch, but selling merch requires you and or your crew to be behind the merch booth, whereas somebody needs to be out, getting that content. So you'll have a good balance. Did you think about just flying out? I mean, obviously that's the most rational question or decision. Did you think, hey, I'm just going to fly out and pack my camera and throw, 4 of the guys in and experience it, to know I'm going to make it, or you're like,
Sure.
Mad respect, because those road trips, I've done a few of them. They can definitely they can be stressful.
They can. And I have to say, I don't like flying. I flew a lot in my corporate career. I'm scared of heights. I don't like flying. Add the COVID thing on top of that, I'm just not interested. But the real, reason that I'm not is that I pride myself, and our team prides ourselves on putting together vehicles that you can drive across the country. That's what we say. That's how we like to think about our vehicles. They may not be the prettiest things. They might not be the most put together. There might be a screw missing in that wheel well trim, but functionally, that's what we pride ourselves on, them being complete and put together well enough to go a very long way. So I feel like that's a big cornerstone of the channel as well. People want to see the road trips. People, there's something about capturing footage of things moving, whether it's a vehicle, whether it's somebody walking across a parking lot, whether it's the sun coming up, whether it's that truck rolling into the show, or or doing something as simple as putting up a 10 by 10 tent, or a booth at a show. There's just something cool about movement, and you get a lot of movement on road trips, whether it's you sitting in the back seat looking at all the trees go by, or the deer, or a deer out in the field, or Rick flying by in his square body. It's just, I think that road trips provide such a cool environment or medium to be able to capture footage. And that's why we do these road trips. I mean, it's fun. We do it because we want to drive. I mean, we build these trucks to drive. But the secondary element to that is it's so much fun to capture that kind of footage, especially when you got somebody like a Barry Davison who is coming in and second shooting a lot of that stuff. Because I drive the trucks, or the truck. So it's just really nice that when you can have two guys capturing a lot of that footage, and then a lot of it is just, it's frenetic, it's moving.
I had two words: road kill.
It's true.
Yeah, it's
true. Now, we're not like that.
yeah, but there's part of that journey. Like, I'll never forget the first year I took Yellowstone to LST. I must have been told I was crazy at least 10, a dozen times. And then when you get home, you realize you were crazy. You realize, thankfully, that you made it, just like you guys did when you guys came out last year, or I should say earlier this year. But then you're like, yeah, I was crazy, but we did it. And that's something that you wear that on your chest, on your shoulder. But when you could film it, because people also like hey, this is real deal. Are they going to make it?
Are they going to make it?
Yeah, they're going to make it. They made it. And
they made it.
Some are cheering.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel when we actually do it.
Some want you to break down just because they want to see how, the content is. But they also, most probably want to see you make it. And it's crazy, though, when I've made it, do you feel like once you make it, so to LST, for example, maybe to the get down, what percentage would you say? Because it's really only 50%, but it's not 50%. What percentage would you put that, if I'm phrasing that right? You make it to LST 2020.
Yeah.
Is that 50% for you that you made it there, or is it a higher?
It's way higher. Yeah. I've never been asked that question, but just my gut is like 80-90% of it is getting there. I can get home. I mean, I can
exactly. But it's like I made it to this, and nobody gives. Like, hey, I'll make it home. How'd you get home?
Nobody cares.
I didn't see that flatbed pick you guys up.
Yeah.
We made it to LST. I promise you, we made it to the get down. Yeah, good. That's how I feel too. It's like it's a solid 90.
Yeah, Rocky and I were talking about this yesterday. I was like, look, man. We know Enterprise rents big diesel trucks, and we know U-Haul rents trailers. That Blazer's short enough, we can get it on one of those. And if we had to, we got plenty of friends across this country and on that route that I'm sure, we'll be fine. But my main objective every time is we get there. If we can get there rolling in what we left Georgia in, we're going to be just fine.
Good point. And if not, we can park it somewhere along the way and get a rental somewhere else. We'll figure it out. All right, good. Who else is going and bringing their trucks?
So that's a great question. We're actually doing something a little different than we normally do. So Rick is not coming out to get down this year. He's got some personal stuff that's going on. He's got to stay back. And Ron is actually flying, so you should give him all the hell for that. He's flying out and flying home. So Rocky, myself, and Barry are driving out. Now, there's some folks coming up from Florida There's some folks we're going to meet up with probably somewhere around that Amarillo area on that Wednesday, Thursday time frame. But we don't have a big group of trucks leaving from Atlanta. And I kind of did that by design because the last couple of times we've done that, it's not gone that well, in my opinion. The UBT to LST trip, when we did that big cruise out there, it's just so easy for people to get split up when people start having trouble. And we were having trouble right out of the gate on that trip. So I'm really interested in seeing how it goes with just us and another couple of trucks kind of here and there, because we want to stop, film some stuff. We want to kind of take our time. We're giving ourselves a pretty good amount of time to get out there. So I just want to see how that goes.
And you're leaving on Tuesday?
Yeah, we're leaving Tuesday morning about 6 a.m.
Oh, wow, cool. And then Rocky and Barry are both driving, or somebody's going to be with you?
Yeah, Rocky and Barry are riding with me. So we're literally
just
we're rolling in the Blazer.
Oh,
That's
wow.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
With hopefully a little bit of a tub of parts and
yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's rad. And you're going to pick up, and it sounds like maybe the guys up there in Texas off the 40. You've got Ben Dollar and their crew, and so hopefully you can. Either way, you're going to pick up people along the way. People are going to be watching you guys. So cool. Yeah. Ooh, solo, and that's pretty cool.
I love it, man. That's probably the part that I'm most excited about. It's not that I don't love cruising with trucks and all that, but there's when you're filming things, there's a certain spontaneity that you want to have, and sometimes it can't happen when everything's on such a tight schedule.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited just to see what kind of content we can create with, just us or a few other trucks or sporadically having trucks mixed in. And I'm just excited about that. I'm interested to see how it goes.
Classic Ron.
Flying.
Are you going to have to take off your Crocs at the checkout to make sure you get on the plane okay?
Oh, man.
Yeah. On one hand, I can't give him that much of a hard time because I don't blame him. But on the other hand, it's funny when your homies are all rolling out.
Right.
I'm going to tell him, yeah, you're. I got to come up with a nickname. No, bail on us, team player. Yeah. Hey, maybe TTR is team player. Team player Ron. TPR.
Call him Bailout Ron.
Bailout Ron. Have you ever thought about having Mike come out? He's not interested?
So, yeah, actually, Mike was going to be coming out with us. So that was kind of the original plan. Mike's got a really cool, I think it's an 85 short bed, dark navy, super patina square body that he's been working on. And we were going to bring those two out. The truck kind of complements the Blazer because there's that dark navy thing going on. So there's this really, I don't know, I was just really excited to see what that footage was going to look like. But moving shops, buying a new house, they've got all sorts of things going on. It just wasn't going to quite work out. So we're gonna roll out solo. But yeah, Mike is all interested in that. And Mike and Anna are both heavily, into the mini trucking scene. So while we were at C10 Ball Revival, they were down at Maggie Valley at Mini Truck Nats. And, so they definitely get out and do the show thing for sure.
Yeah. Life can get in the way for sure. You brought up the Mini Truck Nats, and with your history going back to your 96, is that something that you thought would you get into some more of that and cover some of that? There's kind of been a little bit of a resurgence there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and forgive me, I don't know his name, but the guy who's doing the Our Lifestyle podcast, I think he's really doing a lot to sort of to help with that resurgence of some of that scene. And I think Brian from Grindr does a great job. He still films and puts so much of those trucks in his videos, and I just think it's the coolest thing. So to answer your question, yes. I'm always on the lookout. If I could really find, that 96 S10 that was short bed black that really looked a lot like, was just like my first truck, I would probably buy that truck. Yeah. But the mini trucking thing is so cool. And in fact, Churchill and Mike and Wesley Harden filmed some of the stuff, some of their time at the Mini Trucking Nationals. I made an episode out of it and put it on the channel. So we definitely, we love them all, man. That's the thing. We love them all.
It's funny, and Jason, it's Jason ODB. He's out there. Mike the Mayor. They do the OLP, Our Lifestyle, the podcast. Shout out to you boys. And you brought up Churchill. What a great guy. I love going back to talking to Jeremy and his truck. And you're right. At the end of the day, sometimes you'll be like, even if there wasn't even trucks here, I could either film this or I'm just having a good time hanging with the homies, because that's what it ends up, kind of being about. And you're like, well, we all kind of are standing around because we brought trucks here, but it's no different than cars and coffee. People just get together because they have a similar interest, and you're sitting around, you're just leaning on one another's trucks or cars or whatever it is, drinking a coffee. You're like, all right, Ted, it was good seeing you. All right. Tell the old lady I said hi. We'll see you next month at the next meetup.
Yeah. And I think that it's, so a lot of what UBT is my face or my voice or my, editing or my capturing footage. But I mean, it's so much more. We talked about it here, with a whole crew of guys. But then when you got somebody who's willing to step up like Mike and Churchill and Wesley and take the GoPro and film all weekend while they're at a show, that's what UBT is about too. It's not just about my face or my voice or my whatever. It is very much about others bringing in their own footage, which is similar to what we did with Submit Your Truck. During when COVID was really had everybody locked down, we were just asking, hey man, go do a 2-minute walk around on your truck, send it to us, and we'll put it in a video. We'll put it in a collection of videos. So that's really what UBT is about. I just so happen to be the proprietor and most usual face of it, but it is, it's so much more than that, man.
You are the distributor there, and that really worked out well. Do you get with your team with like guys like Ron and Barry? Do you have like, if you thought about it from a corporate setting, a guy who comes back, do you have a meeting like, hey, once a quarter, Ron, what are you working on? What do you need for your truck? What do you think about the channel? Barry, what are you working on? What shots do you need? Or is it all really just funneled through you, and then you just kind of say, hey, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of coordination between me and all the guys. I mean, there just is. We constantly text, talk, whatever it is, whether it's through Instagram. There's just a lot of communication and a lot of coordination happening. I would say that I'm driving a lot of the process, but that is born out of, hey, Ron's telling me, man, I'd really like to do this, or this is what I want to do next. Rocky's, this is what I'm trying to do. Mike's like, man, I'm about to buy this truck. Can we, you want to get in on doing this? And so it goes back to just it being organic. And yes, I'm in corporate world. Yes, I run UBT like a business, but I try not to do the overly corporate things where we've got to sit down and have some meeting or something like that. We do spend a lot of our time when we're on the road. We always get a house together or something like that. So a lot of that time we can, we're sitting around having a beer, talking about kind of what's next or what we expect to, what our goals are, what we expect to achieve out of maybe this show or maybe this project this series that we're going to be filming. I think it just goes back to, yes, there's a lot of strategy. Yes, there's a lot of coordination, but I try to keep it not so corporate and keep it a little more organic.
What's the most common question you get asked?
What drops on Teddy?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Or what wheel size?
What's that backspacing?
Yeah, what's the backspacing?
Yeah, and I love it. I do not mind it, and I'll just give you a little secret. You probably do the same thing because I want to be helpful. I typed out a response in my notes, and if you ask me that question, you're going to get the exact response that most others are probably getting too, but it's the correct information, and so I've had to, because I get those types of questions so much, I've had to sort of adapt to it. But yeah, it's really about wheels and tires and suspension, and those are what I love the most, so it doesn't bother me.
I have a generic Yellowstone wheel, tire, backspacing, and the drop that, I have it programmed into my iPhone notes, and I just cut and paste. Because after the 16th time, you're just like, hey, I should just do this, cut and paste it, and then I can send it to the next guys that are going to kind of come through. So it's definitely one of those things. You get asked if it's profitable, that being a YouTube creator.
But the big secret is, I don't think that I think that's not a secret. YouTube you can make money off of YouTube. You can make money off of merch. You can make money off podcasting. Anything that's worth putting this much time and effort and passion into, if it's not making you if it's not at least sustaining itself in some way where it's, where you're able to do it at this level, and not that I'm at some crazy level, but I just mean, outside of it just being a hobby, because this is morphed into a business alongside my friends and our passion for trucks. But it is, I don't get that question very often. I do get the question of how can I make money on YouTube? And that's a really hard question to answer. I mean, I can tell you, there are certain things certain metrics you got to hit for YouTube to even, be considered to make money. But at the end of the day, my best piece of advice when it comes to anything financial related to YouTube is you need to be making content that you can stand behind, that you believe in, that you can back up. It may not go anywhere, but it might. And if it does, there's a great chance you're going to make some money and be able to sustain that passion.
Yeah, I wonder too when you get asked that if it's based upon I want to make money before I want to have a passion to make content. And that I would say is have the passion to make the content, kind of, corny field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. United by Trucks is proof there. And if you're creating great content, there might be some monetary gain and or relationships that you will form to get, different things around, and it will all work out. But if you go into it, I mean, I can't tell. I mean, really, I think all three of my kids have tried to make a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
it's
of course.
fun for a little while, and then it dies off. And the other thing that's really big, at least from my perspective, love to get your perspective on it from a YouTube thought process, is their monetary cycle changes so much because what other company literally has no problem trying to get content. If you look back 10 years ago when they were trying to start, they're probably throwing money at anybody, but now everybody has an iPhone camera in their pocket. They can make content and put it out there. So the level of content that YouTube has is just, I mean, it's ridiculous. I can't even imagine. So it's like, hey, we don't need, your content versus now it's more of a platform for people to put content out there. And it's become definitely another social media entity, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, Snapchat. YouTube is in the top 5. I mean, I think
completely.
I think YouTube and Google, they've said, are the 2 biggest search engines.
Oh yeah, they absolutely are.
Yeah.
And YouTube, if I'm just saying it plain on its face, YouTube is where you can make real money. I mean, you look at some of these folks like Cletus and maybe even Finnegan and some of these guys who are really up there, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, getting into the millions. That's real money. I don't think anybody would tell you otherwise. But it's hard to get to that level. I mean, UBT has had a pretty, what I think is a great amount of success over the last, 23 months, whatever it's been now. But, we're not hundreds of thousands of subscribers or anything like that.
50K, baby, 50K.
That's right. We're trying to get 60K before the end of the year. But that would be double growth, for us. So I look at that and I'm like, that's 200% growth. So anyway, it is, but there's still, you can, I remember, I mean, I got monetized, UBT got monetized 3 months in, 90 days in, which means you had to get 1,000 subscribers and 240,000 minutes of watch time. That was like, when I started the channel, I was like, if I get 100 subscribers, I will be floored.
Sure.
Turned out 90 days later. And I think my first check from YouTube just for the ad revenue was probably $36 or something like that. But it let me know there's some potential there. If this continues to grow, I can continue to reinvest in the business, reinvest in the content, which is how all the camera stuff comes to be. That's how a lot of the trucks come to be. It's how a lot of the parts come to be. So just knowing that potential is there, and I already had the passion, I was already willing to create the content because I'd started 90 days before. And my story is very different from a lot of others. But it's something that I felt was worth doing, and I still feel every single day that it's worth doing. I mean, I love being able to do this and like I said, build new relationships with people like you, but also people all over the country, and talk about trucks. I mean, that's what, like I said, it comes down to the passion, and that's what it's about.
And whether you're getting rich in your wallet, you're getting rich in your heart and the passion, and that's at the end of the day for the older guys, the younger guys, the middle-aged guys. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we all kind of start to figure that out. That it's what's inside and that passion that helps. So do you have a YouTuber that you really kind of follow or looked up to now? Do you have anybody that you really follow closely, maybe that has nothing to do with trucks?
Yeah, I do actually. And I'm glad you put that caveat on the end because, I mean, so I'm obviously watching the grinders of the world. I go back to John Wargo, who's got that 2018 crew cab, and I still love his videos. I still watch his videos, even though they're not even related to classic trucks. But, I got to give a quick shout out. I know you do this a lot because Brian is the man. But Brian from Grinder TV, dude is an inspiration. He's one of the nicest people. I met him once, but we communicate, occasionally online. And dude is he's awesome. He, like you set the bar on the podcast side. He definitely set the bar and inspires us from a video side. That dude is awesome. Always willing to share his knowledge. But YouTube channels that I'm paying attention to outside of the truck scene, it's coming down to hunting. I watch whitetail hunting on YouTube. I like the Hunting Public and Midwest Whitetail. Those are, two totally different styles of hunting. One's hunting public land mostly, and the other's hunting, your nice manicured farms. But I don't get to hunt as much as I used to. I haven't been at all this year, and it's right now in the middle of the rut. But that's what I do at night, and that's how I get away from trucks sometimes, because you do need, I think you would probably agree. You need a break from it occasionally, especially when you're creating this much content and talking about trucks this much.
Yeah, I think that's cool because you get a little bit of a fix. It might not be the same as you being out there hunting, but you're creating and holding on to that fix. I technically put in for the hunts, and I kind of let the luck tell me what I'm going to do, because
that's true. It's different out there.
Yeah, if I get drawn, then and I could just go out with my bow anytime, but if I get drawn, then I kind of let that
force you into that.
Yeah. And that's, last year I was able to go out and bag a Coos whitetail and same thing. I just put in, and if it happens, maybe I'm not quite as dedicated as I used to be on it because it's based upon time or what's going on, but I really try to look at my hunts. And of course, in Arizona, for the audience, you don't just put in and it's, you can look at the date range that you're putting in. So I automatically block off Dino, SEMA, things like that. I'm not taking the hunts in November. I'm taking the hunts, different times of the year. Just talking to my neighbor, he just got back this morning. He was out on a deer hunt the last 4 days. My other neighbor, same thing. It's like, so they're out there doing that. And, but it is,
I'm so jealous.
It's good to have balance. Like you said, the only thing about hunting in Arizona is it can be 90 out and you can be walking around with your bow and shorts and a t-shirt, and you're just trying to, not spook the animal and or the deer. So it's kind of crazy. But what would you say is your favorite, most proud moment or video? So what's your personal favorite? Maybe it's not, pulling Teddy out of the barn. What's your proudest video moment that you've created and what you've done, with UBT?
Oh man, that is I would say the proudest moment is not really a video or anything like that, but it's being able to really prove to ourselves, me and the rest of the crew, that we want to continue to create this kind of content and people still want to view it. So I think that, I know that's kind of a vanilla answer, probably not the answer you were looking for, but that's really it. I mean, there's a lot of videos I could point to, the barn find video with Alex Walker. Yeah. It's our highest viewed video. It was so much fun. It really catapulted the channel. The Battle in Bama, Road to Battle in Bama video that we did the first year, so 2019, absolutely my favorite video. That video right there let me know people love road trips. People want to see what we do on the road, driving these classic trucks to shows. Like that, just those two videos are really sort of those critical moments and saying, yeah, you need to keep doing this type of content. Yes, this will resonate. Even though we don't do a lot of barn find content, we kind of, that gets left to Vice Grip Garage or somebody else out there who's doing the Willet runs and the barn finds. But those were the videos that let me know, hey, this is the kind of content people are really wanting to see. But ultimately, it is confirmation because of our growth. We continue to grow. It's confirmation that people still want to see it. And I think that definitely is what feeds me. And then I think it also feeds the guys as well and empowers them to want to continue to make this kind of content.
I think your vanilla answer was perfect. It was a vanilla latte, and that's what it is all about.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I wonder if the audience gets tired of hearing that, but that's what it's all about is, you're creating that existence. And there is something very powerful in a perceived idea that you dive in, you jump in, and you're all in, and it comes to fruition, and you're like, I wasn't sure, but now I'm sure. Yeah. And the audience gives you that, that level of feedback that really kind of does assure that. So that's what it's all about. What taking you out here, I know you got lots getting ready for the trip. I'm pretty pumped about that. You've got 2 years under your belt. Congratulations. You're right there. 50K looking for 60K. Let's help him get there. November 28th, 2 years, big day. So a little right around, I think Thanksgiving might even be the 27th this year.
Yeah.
What are we looking at for the next year? What's 2021? What are you looking to do?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of builds that are right there on the cusp of really just breaking wide open. Obviously, Ron's truck, Pecos, we got a lot of big stuff planned for it. We're actually hoping it would happen a little sooner, but COVID and just circumstances have prevented that from happening as quickly as we wanted. But that's still there. Still got a lot of parts coming in for that truck. We talked a little bit about it on the channel, so if you want to really know what we're talking about there, go check out some of the videos we've done on Pecos on our YouTube channel. But I've got another personal build that I'm really excited about. It's in the GM side of the world. It's, it's not anything surprising or won't be anything, groundbreaking, but it's my granddad's truck, something I'm really interested in putting together and getting the guys in on that. But, we're honestly, I know I hate this phrase, but I think it applies here. We're going to continue to do more of the same. I mean, we're going to continue to do the road trips. We're going to continue, to profile people's trucks and highlight people's trucks, which is, we haven't really talked a lot about that here, but that's one of the main things that our viewership loves. I mean, they love to see me get a truck in the driveway and interview a guy about it and film it and really talk about what this guy, how he put his unique style into this truck. So we're really going to try to ramp that back up. That's something that kind of fell off a little bit because of COVID and just having people over the house and in the driveway sort of thing. But we're gonna ramp that back up and keep doing the road trips, keep doing the builds, try to sprinkle in some more Ford content, sprinkle in some more Dodge content, and just keep doing more of the same.
Do you find that you have trouble finding the content, or do you have trouble keeping up with the content?
That is cyclical. So I would have said the summer, finding the content. I had to be pretty creative, like I said, with a submit your truck thing, where it was, people were sending me the videos and I was compiling them and editing them and making them something that they could be proud of and seeing their truck on the channel. Lately though, man, I'm backed up. I've got 10 videos. I can't even do them. The guys who are doing the video every night, the guys who are doing the real time vlog stuff and, putting a couple of videos out every week. That's a really hard thing for me to do. I take a lot, we talked about this before, but I have a day job, but I also take a lot of pride in spending time with my family and just having downtime for myself. I know that sounds silly, but I'm busy all the time. And sometimes I just need to have a little downtime. So I try to be strategic about that. But I'm really excited about 2021. I really am. I think there's a lot of great things to come. We've got a lot of cool builds coming. We got a lot of great road trips, and we're going to be highlighting more of you guys' trucks.
About how long do you feel like it takes you to edit? I know for me personally, editing pod is a lot easier than editing video.
Sure.
I've done a little video. It's very tedious and very time consuming. About how much time do you spend on, let's say, a 20-minute video?
A 20-minute video, I'm going to spend 8 hours uploading footage, editing, creating a thumbnail. It's a while. I mean, it takes a pretty good amount. So if you think about me taking a full-blown 15, 20-minute video, if I try to put out 2 of those a week, that's 16 hours. So it's a lot. That's a lot. I'll stay up late at night a lot. I'm just very strategic about my time during the day. But to get a good 15, 20-minute episode that's got multi-camera angles, that's got, all sorts of different sound, music, soundtrack, or audio in it, and creating the thumbnail. That's another part, which is just the cover photo on the actual video for those who don't know what a thumbnail is. I spend a lot more time on those now than maybe I did, in 2019. I try to spend a lot of time making sure those are dialed in, but it's time consuming, but it's rewarding. And I found it was a challenge in the beginning, and now it's something that I just want to continually get better at and understand.
I think you're doing a great job. Is there anything that, we didn't hit that you want to make sure that we share with either your audience, my audience, our audience? Is there anything that we haven't hit?
No, man, I think we covered it. I'll just say, check us out, United by Trucks on YouTube. Check us out, United by Trucks on Facebook and Instagram. And if you see us out at Dino's, we're obviously going to have our mask on, but please come up, say hello. We'd love to talk to you. We'll have our mask on, but you'll be able to see where, we got UBT hats on and all that.
Yeah, take a pic and get to know the boys, because they don't come out west. This isn't something that this is a treat for them as well. I just want to say I like how you said you kind of manage your time and you keep that balance, because I know personally I struggle with this, but by you keeping that balance, whether that's watching deer footage at night, having a beer with your family, that makes you and or your team happier overall, and that gives better content versus somebody who's just wore out to nothing. We've seen that in some of the truck shows, let's say like Gas Monkey or something like that, where the guys are putting in those hours. And really, like you said with LST, you went through that situation, so it doesn't make you a happy person. You can be a happy person, but I'm wore out. So keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate your time, your effort, and what you provide for the community. Super stoked for the 2-year anniversary. 50K. You guys keep, get online. If any one of my listeners hasn't jumped on, get over there to YouTube, check them out, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, give them a follow. And really just congrats to you and your whole team. Everyone that I've ever met, that is involved with you. I don't think I've met Mike or Wes, but I know the rest.
You will eventually.
Good. I want to. I look forward to it. And again, just thanks for your time. I'm stoked to have you on as 200. Keep doing what you're doing. Robbie, UBT, and the whole crew.
Thanks, Ronnie. I appreciate you, man.
Okay, brother. Late.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 200. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. Make sure you come by the booth, say hi, grab a sticker, and remember, mask up to get down. All right, guys. Late.